Hi viewers, welcome to Akshaya Vlogs and Crafts. Sri Guru Charitra Chapter 52 Conclusion Week Reading Avatarnika Contents. After hearing the 51 chapters of Sri Guru Charitra, Namdarak lost senses and got samadhi. His body perspired, his throat got choked, and tears flowed from his eyes. He could not speak out a word. Sri Siddha Muni was pleased to see this state of Namdarak. Though the disciple got samadhi, he should be awakened for the benefit of the people. Thinking thus, he moved his hand over his face and body with affection and called him and said, "Dear boy, come on senses. You have got dhyan and you will get salvation. But if you remain in meditation, how will the people be benefited and enlightened? You asked me and I narrated to you these nectar-like tales of Sri Guru's life. You also heard them consistently. You should therefore elaborate them and propagate amongst the people." Namdarak opened his eyes and placed his head on the feet of Sri Siddha and said, "You are Sri Guru yourself. Sri Guru's life that you have narrated is even more sweeter than the nectar. I am not contented yet. Please tell me the whole life again in short." Hearing this, just as a physician prepares the Sanjeevani pills, mixing many medicines and keeps the pills with him, similarly I am telling you the summary of this life of Sri Guru. Further, Sri Siddha said, though Sri Guru has disappeared, still he gives darshan to his sincere devotees as before. Namdarak, kindly tell me the procedure of week reading and others rules to be followed during the week. Sri Siddha, Sri Guru Charitra can be read any time with pure mind. The credit of reading it in a week is still great. For this, one place and seat should be selected. Keep control on the senses during the week. Before starting the reading, bow to God, Brahmin, and elders. Worship the volume of Sri Guru Charitra. One should complete 7 chapters on the first day. Read up to 18 chapters on the second day, up to 28 on the third day, up to 34th on the fourth day, up to 37th on the 5th day, up to 43rd on the 6th day, and up to 52nd chapters on the 7th day. After reading, worship the volume and take light dinner. Some observe completion of the week reading, take meals with a Brahmin couple and offer money as dakshina. If the reading is done with devotion and pure heart, Sri Guru gives darshan in dream and fulfills one's desires. The trouble of spirits and ghosts vanishes and one gets peace of mind. Namdarak again expressed to Sri Siddha Muni his gratitude for narrating the life of Sri Guru, which has made his life fortunate and enabled him to attain the bliss. Dedicated to the Sri Dattatreya, Om Tat Sat. Sri Narasimha Saraswati. Sripad Swami told the Brahmin lady to devote her life to the worship of Lord Shiva. She did accordingly, and as a result of it, she was born in Karanja, a town near Akola, central India, in a pious family and was named Amba. She grew and she was married to a pious man, Madhava Sharma. She was devoted heart and soul to the service of her husband. His noble company added to the holy tendencies she developed as a result of a spiritual discipline in her previous life. She now became an ardent devotee of Lord Shiva. In course of time, she gave birth to a son. The child did not cry as usual at birth. On the other hand, the only sound he uttered was Om, the eternal sound. Om is the manifestation of the spirit, and everyone was amazed at it. Astrologers assured Madhava Sharma that the child was indeed an avatar of the Lord. They also professed that he would renounce all worldly ties and that he would uplift the fallen souls. The child was named Narahari, the name signifying that he was the dispeller of the sins and miseries of human beings. The child Narahari grew up to be a handsome boy of 5, but he could not speak as the parents were very much worried about it. One day the boy conveyed to them through gestures that he wished to be invested with the sacred thread. Young Narahari learned the Gayatri mantra, adopted the vows of a young celebrate, Brahmacharya, accepted the first offering of food from his mother's hands, and at once recited the Vedas, external repository of spiritual wisdom. The parents were overjoyed, but their joy did not last. According to tradition, after the sacred thread ceremony, the initiate is a sannyasi and has to beg alms from his mother and leave for pilgrimage. Thus, the mother asked him to beg alms, and young Narahari, taking it as her adesha command, sought permission to take sannyasa, renounce worldly life, and leave for pilgrimage. The mother bewailed her plight and pleaded with him to give up such an idea. Narahari said, I do not want to enjoy the objects of the senses which can only lead to misery. So I shall pass on from the state of celebracy directly to the life of a sannyasi. Wealth, family ties, and responsibilities are as unreal as to a dream. Youth is transient as a flower which soon withers. Thus, life is very short when viewed in the light of only proposed of it self realization. To be emotionally attached to anything in this phenomenal world amounts to mere self betrayal and is self defeating too. This body, with the skin as its surface layer, flesh, bones, and blood within, is as frail a structure as water bubble. Excessive fondness for one's spouse and children is the root of all other evil tendencies. In itself, this body of ours is made of inanimate matter and is ever changing and perishable. Only the self within is eternal and is our only true being. Joy and sorrows of worldly life are merely relative, subjective, and are therefore illusory experiences to the realized. Man can break the fetters of this illusion only through the grace of the Guru. Therefore, O Mother, do not hinder me in my resolve. You shall be blessed with some more children. Go on meditating on me, and thereby you shall cross the ocean of misery and ignorance too. So saying, Narahari again blessed his mother with the vision of his divine form. She perceived it through the eye of wisdom and was at once reminded of her previous birth. So she said to the Lord, Holy One, you are indeed Lord Shri Beedkar, who in my previous life saved me from my unwise resolve to commit suicide. I bow therefore before you. You are indeed the unbounded one. All the universes have their being in your infinite expanse. To say that you are born to me as my son is but a fallacy, for you are eternal. Yours is the omnipotent will. I shall not hinder your resolve to renounce the world for the welfare of all sentient beings. You have assured me that I shall be blessed with a few more children. Pray stay with us at least till such time. Lord Narahari graciously accepted to her request and stayed away. The blessed couple used to worship the Lord every day with full awareness of his divinity. Many were learned who flocked to him for the elucidation of interesting questions in scriptural knowledge. Many of them got their doubts clarified and attained self-realization. There is no task to one who could uplift even the dull-witted. After his mother got more children, he covered his head with a piece of cloth, put on wooden sandals, covered his body with other robe, and wore codpiece. Taking a staff in his hand, he set out from his home in joy to fulfill his mission, which was to revive faith and uplift the people morally and spiritually. On his way to Badrinath, Narahari reached the holy Varanasi, Kashi, in the guise of a seeker after liberation. Lord Narahari, in accordance with the holy tradition, resorted to His Holiness Swami Krishna Saraswati as his Guru and from him took the vow of sannyas. Henceforth, he came to be known as Shri Narasimha Saraswati. He formally took the vow of lifelong celibacy. Thus, he became a full-fledged sannyasi who has transcended the opposites of joy and sorrow and the limitations of a self-centered will. This world teacher has laid down the tradition of sannyas for seekers after liberation. Shri Narasimha Saraswati expounded the nature of sannyas to some and the meaning of Vedas, which can secure the true objects of life, Purusharthas, to others. Then he proceeded in his wanderings round the country in a clockwise direction. Along with his disciples, he had 7 disciples, and they were Bala, Krishna, Upendra, Janajyotam, Sadananda, Madhava, and Siddha. All have the title Saraswati suffixed to their names. He took the holy dips in all the holy rivers along the way and reached the sacred place where the river Ganga joins the sea. From Benares he went to Badrika ashram and with his disciples. Then moving from place to place for the welfare of common people, he arrived at Ganga Sagar near Calcutta. Some 20 years passed this way. Sri Narasimha Saraswati reappeared in his home. To the wonder and joy of his family and town people, he blessed them all. In the Guru Charitra, the miracles performed by him are described. These miracles were meant to increase faith among the people in a higher power and start them on the path of spiritual path. Sri Narasimha Saraswati then went to Triambakeshwar, Parli and Parli Vajinath. At Parli Vajinath, he did penance for 1 year and remained in seclusion. Afterwards, he went to Odumbar and Amarapur, near the confluence of the rivers Krishna and Panchaganga. At Amarapur, he stayed 12 years. This place was called Narasimhavadi and later Narashabhavadi by his affectionate disciples and devotees. From Amarpur, he went to Ganagapur and remained there for 24 years. During his stay, there were many astonishing incidents and miracles took place. Sri Narasimha Saraswati was now considered as Siddha Purusha, perfect, almost godlike being with divine powers of healing physical ailments and elevating worries of his devotees. Hindus and Muslims used to come to him, considering him as their Sadguru. One day he bade goodbye to the people of Ganagapur and with his 7 disciples went to the confluence of Bhima and Amarja rivers and stood for a while under the Ashwatha tree. He stated, worshipped his tree and practiced penance. Your wish will be fulfilled and your life will be blessed. He announced his departure from the world and his disciples were plunged in grief. A float was prepared on the banana leaves and adorned with flowers. This float was placed in the river and Sri Narasimha Saraswati sat on it. All the disciples offered worship along, although their hearts were weighed down by grief. Sri Narasimha Saraswati cheered them up and told them he was going to Kadali Vana, grove of banana trees, near Sri Sailam. One of the 12 Jyotirlinga is located here, and upon reaching there, a mark of his safe arrival, cluster of flowers will come back floating against current soon. Soon after, as per the master's promise, cluster of flowers came to them drifting on the river against the current. When the master got ready for departure, the natives of the village rushed to him and begged him not to deprive them of his divine presence, but to stay on. The Lord said, do not feel sad that way. How can I bear to be away from my devotees? I only seem to live for Sri Shailam, only to the grosser vision of the physical, but I will ever abide at Ganagapur in my real state. As the spirit or the real self, I will stick my known arms in this village and accept your loving devotional services. My living presence will be experienced by anyone who bathes in the Sangam, confluence of holy rivers, worships the holy peepal tree and take darshan of my padukas, sacred footwear here. The master can be seen even today by the vicious and the devout. Only the uprighteous cannot experience his living presence. Taking his daily dip at the holy Sangam, he ever abides there. In fact, he has been blessing devotees with his divine acts, leelas, on countless occasions. The aspirations of those who worship him there with true love will be fulfilled. Indeed, the Lord is ever present with those who instantly adore Him. The miraculous experiences of such will ever remain hidden in their own hearts. He is the granter of prayers. When the people were in utter despair, Sri Narasimha Saraswati brought about a religious and spiritual renaissance and restored their morale. The places where he stayed have become centers of pilgrimage, with Narashabawadi, Odumbar, and Ganagapur. Ganagapur is believed to be the abode of Lord Dattatreya. There is a holy hillock of Vibhuti, holy ash, from which devotees pick up the sacred ash as prasad to take home. This hillock has not been depleted, even though devotees have been taking away sacred ash for centuries. The atmosphere in all the three pilgrimage centers is sublime, and devotees feel peaceful and spiritually uplifted. Miracles take place at Ganagapur especially, even though now the message of Sri Narasimha Saraswati is summarized as under 1. In our short fleeting span of human life, we should attempt to realize God through devotion. 2. Use buddhi, intellect, and viveka, discrimination, to purify the minds. 3. Never think of hurting others in thought, word, or deed. 4. Consider yourself blessed if you secure the blessings of a guru. 5. Strive to realize God who is inherent in your own art. Shri Beedkar Maharaj. Shri Beedkar Maharaj was one of the foremost celebrated disciples of Sri Swami Samartha of Agalkot, popularly known as Agalkot Maharaj. Sri Swami Samartha was another form of Sadguru Sai Baba. Shri Beedkar Maharaj visited Sri Sai Baba in 1873. His original name was Namananda Beedkar. He lost his father in his childhood but developed spiritual outlook in his earlier stages of life. As a young man, he performed several pilgrimages and settled down in jewelry, perfumery, and sandalwood business in Pune. He strived very hard and acquired the capacities to transform different metals into gold. Thus, he became enormously rich. Along with the wealth, he acquired some vices and got into an infatuation for women in Gwalior. When he went there on a business tour, however, due to his spiritual background, he felt very guilty of his deeds and tried to get rid of the vice. A saint whom he approached for redemption advised him to go through a penance and worship Lord Hanuman to conquer the carnal desires. During his prayers to Lord Hanuman, he received a divine instruction to take refuge under Swami Samartha of Agalkot. He immediately reached Agalkot but could not see Swami as he was with the king. Beedkar, however, decided not to leave without the darshan of Swami and hence spent 2 nights doing Namasmarna by reciting Swami Samartha's sacred name. Then Swami appeared before Beedkar and asked him as to why he was there. Beedkar replied, I want your grace. This is a strong spiritual base. Swami tested Beedkar's devotion by strongly scolding him and showering abuses on him. Beedkar appealed to Swami, I treat all your scolding and abuses as sweet blessings. Even if you kill me, you are my ultimate refuge. Swami sent a spiritual wave through Beedkar's body, due to which he was revibrated, leading to a blissful state. With this experience, Beedkar's mind attained enormous peace and solace. Consequently, he was always found in an uninterrupted state of samadhi. On Beedkar's next visit, coinciding with the day of Magha Purnima, Swami Samartha remarked about his spiritual status. The mango is partially ripe. It will take some more time for the mango to ripen fully. It took another 3 years for the Beedkar to have the next darshan of Swami. When he decided to remain at Agalkot serving him endlessly, one day he was serving Swami by gently pressing his feet for a long time. But Swami did not ask him to stop. The service continued throughout the night. Then, in the early hours of the next morning, a cobra materialized with his hood raised in between Swami's feet. ready to sting Beedkar. Beedkar, however, was not afraid. He thought, "It is my good fortune to die serving Swami." Miraculously, the snake vanished. But Swami got up shouting at Beedkar, "You are tough nut to crack." Swami slapped Beedkar on his face and shouted, "You stubborn fellow, get out." With this, Beedkar experienced enormous bliss and deep happiness and got into a state of samadhi. After getting out of state of samadhi, Beedkar decided to feed 1,000 persons as per hint from Swami. He wanted to earn the needed money by selling perfumes. However, on his way, he met an accident and all the bottles of perfumes were lost. With great difficulty, he could offer food to Swami alone. Instead of feeding 1,000 persons, Swami smiled and said, "You have fed me, no doubt. You are yet to give me dakshina. Can you do it?" "What would you give me?" Beedkar responded, "I shall do as per your orders." Swami again smiled and said, "No, you cannot do it." Beedkar again affirmed, "Swami, I promise you, I will obey your orders." Swami laughed aloud and said, "Well, the dakshina you can give me is this. Give up making gold." Beedkar was aghast at his demand of Swami, for he never thought that Swami would demand his Guru Dakshina this way. Nevertheless, he gave up making gold as his Guru Dakshina. On his subsequent visit, Swami instructed Beedkar to carry out Pradakshina of river Narmada. Beedkar obeyed Swami's order but confronted several hazards, including attack by tigers and wild animals in his spiritual venture. However, he succeeded in accomplishing the task since Swami's grace protected him at every impediment and crisis. Finally, Goddess Narmada appeared before Beedkar and blessed him. In accordance with the instruction of Goddess, famous divine saints such as Shri Vasudeva Nanda Saraswati and Shri Swami Satchidananda gave darshan to Beedkar, culminating his spiritual quest. All the while, Beedkar Maharaj was experiencing the immense grace of Sri Swami Samartha as he reached a pilgrim center, Maheshwar. Sri Swami Samartha attained Mahasamadhi. On the same night, Swami appeared to him in his dream and said, "I have not passed away. I am very much alive." After making several pilgrimages, he established a sanctuary or mutt and became famous by the name Shri Beedkar Maharaj. Under his guidance, several people attained spiritual enlightenment and many saints were trained to guide citizens. When he met with Sadguru Sainath in 1873, Shri Beedkar Maharaj stated, "Sai Baba is no ordinary saint. He is Jagat Guru. He is Swami Samarnath himself in another form." Shri Beedkar Maharaj attained Mahasamadhi on April 4, 1913. The end. Thank you, viewers. Please subscribe, like, share, and support. Bye bye.